Good morning. Good morning, Camels. It is January 28th, 2025, 8:08 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is a beautiful Tuesday. Beautiful Tuesday. The market dropped pretty big yesterday because of a company called DeepSeek. We'll discuss that a little bit today and what that meant. An overreaction to the market. Were you able to take advantage of these pullbacks from yesterday? Hopefully you bought some of your best companies that you've been looking at and researching. Good morning, Miss Janie Weenie. Good morning, Miss Angela. How's everybody doing? Hello, Miss Kelly.
Hello, Mr. Johnson. How's everyone?
All
Good
right.
morning,
What up with
Antonio,
it?
Miss Jeannie, Callie. Hey, y'all. What's up? What's up?
Hello, ladies. Look, y'all don't go on X on Mondays
Miss
anymore.
Jeannie, I tried to ping you in. Miss Jeannie.
We
I
we
tried
we
yesterday.
we do go over the X on Mondays, but because Miss Jacqueline had lost her mom, I wanted her to be over
Oh,
here where everybody could be
So
around
I
her.
pinged you in. Come on, Miss
well,
Jeannie.
but I'm so sorry. By me thinking y'all over there, I don't go to my phone like I normally
Yeah,
do. So I'm just working and working and
yeah.
working. Then I went up to my phone and I saw Clubhouse. It was like 8:20. I was like, God, no.
Okay, where's
So,
Miss
We
Jeannie?
missed you though. We definitely missed you.
There she
Do
is.
you get my
yeah,
text messages, Miss Jeannie Weenie? Because I text you, but I ain't never got a response. So I don't think I got the right number.
no.
Hold on a minute.
Oh,
I'm gonna text you right now so you can hold on a minute and see what if I don't think I got the right number.
if you send me a voicemail through Clubhouse, I get that.
No, no,
But
I got you. You
no.
sent me your phone number and
Oh, yeah, I did.
I text you, but I just text you hello. Did you get that?
Let me see.
I think I got the wrong number on you. I don't think it's the right one.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Yeah, I got the wrong number. So I'm texting some stranger, and they're probably like, "Who is this nutcase?" Somebody been like, "This nutcase acting like they know me. You scammer." Good morning, Miss Jacqueline, Big Prayer. What up, Steve?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good
Grand
Hi, Miss
morning,
Hey,
Jacqueline.
Lolita, Wale, Brian. What up, everybody?
Eh,
We're gonna have a guest today,
Jacqueline.
by the way, y'all. We're having a guest today, just so y'all know.
Yay.
Wow.
Steve,
Uh,
you know how Steve is out there in them
Big
streets. He always
Steve.
run into amazing people, and he loves to tell them about the Camels, and they like to come and hang out with us. So, looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah. Yep,
good,
yep,
good.
yep.
Jacqueline, I'm sorry. Antonio just mentioned your mom passed. Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry to
Yeah.
hear that.
Thank
Oh,
you.
my love, my prayer and condolences to you and your family. Oh, goodness, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you, honey. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Was it over the weekend?
Yeah, it was on
Okay,
Saturday. Like
okay, okay,
Saturday night.
okay, okay.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I talked with Miss Jacqueline yesterday. We had a good little conversation. She was just being. Let me tell you something about Miss Jacqueline. She was still being Miss Jacqueline, giving me some good advice and praying for me. I said, "Look at you. You always, even when you going through something."
I'm praying for you, Miss Jeannie.
Yeah, she built like that. She just built different. I was like, I'm supposed to be over here praying for you now, Miss Jacqueline. Supposed to be helping you out here at this point, but she just was still looking out. All right, well, Miss Jeannie Weenie, I'm sorry I don't got your number, so I'll figure out a way to get the correct number so I can text you like a. I've been texting you for like let me see how long. Let me see how long I've been texting you. Somebody think I'm a nut.
Not me,
I've been
somebody.
texting you for literally over a month and a half. I need to delete these. I feel bad for sending them now.
Oops.
I don't send somebody in my personal business. All right. Hey, y'all, anybody else ever text somebody and you thought you was texting somebody and it was the wrong number and they ain't even let you know? Lord have mercy. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Lolita. It is 8:13. We'll be starting at 8:30 again today. We will have a guest. Hopefully, yesterday y'all were getting some of your favorite companies that pulled back. If you still believe in them, some of you might not believe in AI anymore. DeepSeek might have took that from you, but funny thing, Steve sent me a message over the weekend, and he's like, DeepSeek. I was like, what is this? And he was like, oh, it's the best. It's this. So I downloaded it immediately. Next thing you know, the market crashed, and it was because of this app. So, so I was like, wow, Nvidia had the biggest one-day crash in the history. Nvidia had the biggest crash in the history, the most money lost in one day in history when it comes to the markets because of a Chinese owned AI app called DeepSeek. Anyway, VRT went to $99 yesterday. I didn't get it at 99. I wish I would have, but I got it right around 102. I got it right around 102. So I bought some more. I'm not running from it because I still believe in it. I think it's a great company, and I'm gonna still stand on that, not going anywhere. I feel like I trust my research, and that's the thing. See, yesterday is a great example of trusting your research, trusting what you believe you're doing properly. I think it was an overreaction, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's an overreaction real quick. The reason I think it's an overreaction, if you know the history of China in terms of
Did he blink out?
Mr.
I don't
Antonio, you
hear
I
it
didn't
went
hear
out.
anymore.
anything.
I think he,
Yeah, we
yeah, I
can't hear
don't
you,
hear.
Antonio.
Mr. Antonio is mute. Good morning, everyone. Good
What's up,
morning,
Z?
Grand
Ziggy.
Rising,
How
Mr.
are you
G.
doing,
Yeah.
Ziggy?
And there's EC, not
Hey, good
easy.
morning, y'all. How y'all doing,
Good
sisters?
morning,
Hey, good
Easy. Good
morning.
morning,
Grand
Hey,
Steve,
Rising,
too. Good morning,
Easy.
hey,
everybody down the
good morning,
bottom.
everyone. Hey, Steve. Good morning, everybody. Antonio, let me hit him.
Good morning, everybody.
Grand Rising, Big Steve.
Hey, Steve. Thank you for always looking out for us. Got another speaker. We've had the best.
Yeah.
Yep.
Steve.
Actually,
Yeah.
actually, it looks like she's in the room right now.
Awesome.
Tony Harris
Uh,
Taylor from Houston, Texas.
oh, I see her. Welcome, Tony.
Yes.
She's raising her hand. Somebody got to let her talk. There you go.
Grand Rising, Miss Tony.
So yeah, Tony's an author, a networker. She's big in franchising. Her and I were together for 2 days at the Titus Center of Franchising. I'm not sure, Tony. Are you a board member as well at the
I am
Titus?
a board member,
She
Steve.
is a
Good
board
morning.
member. Wow, good. Um, yeah. So the reason I wanted Tony to come on the show, number one, is when you hear her talk and when you hear her energy, you'll know immediately that she is like dynamite doesn't whatever's stronger than dynamite, like a nuclear bomb or something like that. That's what she is. Um she knows everybody that I know, so that was kind of cool. So she knows everybody in franchising. She's big at franchise conferences, and she has a great story of her life story and a little bit like that. So I thought it would be really fun to bring her on the show to talk a little bit about what she's done and what she's doing and share some of her love and energy with us. So,
Well, thank you, Steve, so much for the opportunity.
yeah.
Awesome. It's
What
awesome.
happened to Antonio? We
Glad to
lost
have you
him or
I
here.
what?
hit him up. Let's see what he says. Mr. Antonio. Oh, he probably
yeah,
went
Yeah,
out.
y'all
he's back
lost
in the
me. I'm
room.
having
Yeah. Okay,
some
good. You're
wire
back.
issues or something.
Okay.
Can you hear me? It's telling me that my signal is
Yeah, we can
poor
hear
now,
you now.
so you might not be able
Yeah.
to hear me.
Yep.
You can hear me?
Can you?
Okay. All right. All right. What was the last thing you guys heard? What we were speaking on?
I
You.
think what you bought,
Mhm.
you bought some stock for $102.
That was it.
And I
Oh
think
my
I think
gosh.
you were going to tell us about your thoughts on either it was DeepSeek or why the video went down so far. One or the other. You were going to tell us your
No,
thoughts.
I think why he still believe in the companies.
Okay, there you go. Okay,
No,
okay.
he was talking about China. He said why the whole thing with DeepSeek in China was going to
Yes.
fail with NVIDIA.
Man, I love it.
Okay.
Everybody got a different
A
I
perspective.
different.
thought
That's how it
I
is.
was thinking he said something
That's
about
it.
DeepSeek.
That's how it be when you
No.
got everybody that listening. That listen, you know, I'm that's
Listen,
good.
Well, all
okay.
right then.
Well,
That's
I like
Antonio,
all
humane.
you
those
just
answers.
yeah,
Now,
just tell us all your thoughts on all
yeah,
of it.
start all over.
All right.
Just start
Hey,
all
Easy.
over.
Yes,
That's a
start over.
We're
perfect.
gonna
That's
have
like a perfect
we're gonna have a guest today.
demonstration of
So,
humanity.
She talked. She talked. Miss
She's
Tony.
You missed. Yeah, right. You missed that. I already
yes.
introduced Tony. She's on the.
oh, the guest
She's on
already
Tony.
the.
spoke. Look at that.
Tony is here.
Well, I had to cover for you, bro. We lost you, so I had to
I
get some
appreciate that, brother.
content to cover for you.
I appreciate that,
You know.
brother.
So I'll replay it. I said Tony Harris Taylor's in the room from Houston, Texas. She just authored a book. Ready for this name? Okay. Show up, be up, follow up to blow up. That's the name of her book, and she teaches. That's her system of how she sells. I think franchise systems, and who knows what other businesses as well she sells. So yeah, Tony's here, so she's going to say hello now, and then we'll start the show, and then we can tell her. She can tell us about her how she got in the business and what she's doing and writing books, and she can tell us about. I think there's another thing she does called Network in Action Global or something. What's that all about, Tony?
Good morning, everybody. And good morning, Mr. Antonio. I was really waiting to hear about what you were going to say. So,
Well, you know what? We'll get to it, so because we don't really officially start till 8:30, so we'll definitely get to it. But I'm excited about you, and anybody that's a friend of Steve, we ain't got nothing but love for you, and I'm just glad to have you. Thanks for joining our family, and we are so excited to see what you're going to be talking about for us today.
thank you. Thank you so much. You just cue me up when you are ready.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Tell you what, let's do it. Let's do this. Y'all want to just go ahead and get started, so we can give Tony as
Good
much time
morning,
as possible.
Let
everybody.
Good morning and
Good
let's
Grand
morning,
Rising
do it.
everybody.
Sis.
Yeah,
Yes,
let's
let's
do it.
go.
Morning. Good morning. We have a
Morning.
special guest and
Good
this is
morning,
Oh,
his
everybody.
good.
day.
Grand Rising, Brian.
Hello
All right.
everyone.
Cool. Perfect. I apologize because I don't have a great signal, so sometimes you guys are going in and out. So I'm going to try to get through my part and get out the way. All right, our word for the week is road. Our word for the week is road, and roads don't change most of the time. They get altered, but they don't really change very much. If you look at a map 100 years ago and a map of today, you'll still see the roads. And the question becomes, what road are you on? Do you know the road that is forcing you to go in a certain direction? And if you're not going in that direction, then you need to realize that you need to figure out what it will take for you to get on the proper roads. Buildings change, people change with locations, but usually the roads are still the same. And so, what is our scripture today? We're using Proverbs 4:26 that says, "Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways." I want you to reflect this week on roads you're choosing in life, whether they relate to your decisions, actions, or relationships. Let's make sure we're realizing, okay, what road am I on? Now think about it in this way. You on some roads the traffic is dense, other roads is smooth. Some people get on paid tolls because they get to go there faster, but they have to pay to be on those tolls. But those roads all have systems and strategies to get from one place to the next. And that's what we're focused on this week. Let's hand it over to Miss Jacqueline. Big prayer is what we call her, and she's going to open us up with prayer.
Good morning everybody. Mr. Antonio, you went out again.
So,
And you did say you have a poor,
sorry
you
about
had
that.
a poor
I'm having
signal.
some bad signaling today, so Jessica skipped me today. I'm glad we have a guest.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Hopefully you'll be able to get that cleared up. It'll get better. So anyway, good morning, everybody. Grace and peace to the room, to absolutely everyone that is here. And we're just grateful for our guest today. So we're just going to move right in to prayer. Father God, we thank you. We love you. We bless you. We look to you. You're great and mighty. You are the author and the finisher of our faith. We honor you. We give you homage, Lord. Why? Because you're so deserving of it. Why? Because you are the creator of heaven and earth. And so we are here. We come expecting, Father God. And once again, you have showed up. We to give you permission to have your way, to come into these places, into these spaces where we're at, Father God, because we belong to you. And we're grateful, Father God, that you are a good God. And so, even in this day, the day that you have made, we are rejoicing. We're glad. We're grateful. And so, with that being said, we just want to love on everyone. We want to pray for absolutely everyone that is here. We pray for this room that it continue to be great, continue to acknowledge you and to invite you in first and foremost, and then to come expecting and then to receive your goodness, your blessings, all the benefits, all 8,000 plus of them, Father, even if there's not a lifetime long enough to receive them all, we are yet expecting. And somehow, maybe we will. And so we activate. We activate your greatness in our life. We activate, Father God, what is ours, what is for us, because we know that what is for us, for each one of us, it is for us individually, collectively. So thank you, Lord. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 All
Amen.
right. Tell you what, can you hear me? You guys can hear me? It'll seem like I might have a better signal now.
Yep,
So
Yes.
loud
see.
and
Mhm.
clear. You're good. You're
Okay, great.
good.
All right. Before we go to our guest today, and I'm so excited about our guest. Thanks again to Steve, who's always out traveling the world, meeting wonderful people, and always introducing them to the room. Our Camel family, a great family, by the way. And the word on the street about the Camel family is that we're some of the kindest people you'll ever run into. So thank you for being kind and presenting that to the world, showing the love that you guys do. Thank you guys so much for that. What I want to say, because a lot of people are asking, I've been getting text messages. They want to know what I thought about DeepSeek. And I told you that I got a text message from Steve over the weekend about DeepSeek. So I didn't even know what he was talking about. I said, "What?" I was like, "What is DeepSeek?" And he was like, "Well, go download." So I went and downloaded it, started playing with it a little bit, and then on Monday, when the market opened, the markets were down. One of the biggest days of a loss for any publicly traded company. Nvidia was down quite a bit. Even the CEO of Nvidia, I think he lost about $20 billion in one day. That's insane. This small company, startup, China, DeepSeek, had such an impact. It put into question what investors were thinking. Maybe we evaluated the AI industry and the lead that America has on that industry a little bit. We're off on that. So they got scared and began to reevaluate. And you had an opportunity there because a lot of stocks pulled back and you were able to buy some of them. Let me just say this. I wouldn't have worried about this, and the reason why is because the story is still ongoing and we're still in the early stages of AI. Let's go back to the computer days. People weren't using the internet. Let's go back to Apple, the iPhone. Okay, the iPhone didn't do so well when it came out. Did you know that? Actually, Apple had another company that did a lot better. They sold like 100,000 units in like within 2 weeks, and everybody thought that was going to be the product, but it didn't. And Apple took a little bit. Okay, it took 75 years for as great of innovation as the telephone is. It took 75 years for a million people to use the telephone service. Think about that. It took only 10 months for Facebook to reach a million people. And it took less than a day for OpenAI to reach a million people. But it took 75 years to reach a million people to use the phones. Okay? And I think the phone is one of the greatest inventions ever. But look how long it took. So things are moving really fast. They're moving so fast that people are panicking. So panic creates overreaction. China is known for not giving the right information when it comes to how they go about getting things. They don't always make the numbers right. So once people start evaluating that, they'll pull back. They'll get a little bit more confident. They'll start buying these dips. This will be up. I hope you took advantage of the pullbacks. I was able to again get VRT, which I believe is one of the companies that I like from an AI data standpoint, for about $102. Okay, all right. It pulled back quite a bit yesterday. It was down 30%. All right. And as you know, just don't get scared. Okay. Don't get scared. Let me give you the best example, and then we'll open it up for our special guest. I don't know if you ever watched Squid Games. The stock market is a lot like red light, green light on the Squid Games. Not the first season. I'm talking about the second season. Okay. Remember the guy who won Squid Games? He'd been there before. He won the whole thing. He came back, and the second time he came back, they played red light, green light. And he told everybody, listen to me. Listen to me. When they say green light, go. But when they say red light, stop. Don't move. No matter what, don't move. And as soon as somebody got shot in that game, guess what they did? They didn't listen. They panicked in fear. They saw blood. They, like we do in the stock market, we see red. And he'd been there before. He'd learned. He'd been through the pain. And a lot of people in Squid Games lost their lives in that game because they didn't listen. He gave it to them, but that's what we do. The stock market, same way. Don't panic. Don't panic. You're going to get through this. All right? And one of the best things he said, cover your mouth because it's scanning for movement. If someone's taller than you, stand behind them, right? People like Steve and Ernest and folks like Big Easy, they've been here a long time. They're giving us the advice. Don't panic. All right? And now let's open it up for the wonderful and beautiful guest, Miss Toni. Hello, Miss Toni. Welcome. And it is your time to open up. And we're glad to hear from you today.
Thank you so much, family. I feel like family, even though this is my first few minutes with you all. I love what I'm hearing. I just might be back. And what a great word, Antonio. Fear. Fear stops us from doing so many things. And so I'm going to tell you some stories around my success formula, which is show up, be up, follow up to blow up. And I've put my link to LinkedIn in the chat. So hit that and connect with me. Let me know you heard me on today's call. So again, my name's Toni Harris Taylor. My clients dubbed me the networking queen. I did not want that moniker. I didn't think we needed another queen in the world. But they said, Toni, that's who you are. You're not only the networking queen, but you are the coach that connects. And that makes me proud because I am a global networker and I am happy to share my contacts with anyone who I feel like will take care of my relationships. And so that's how I'm known, the coach that connects. As Steve mentioned, I am a franchisee with Network in Action. Network in Action came into my life at a time when I was just about to throw in the towel and go get a job. And I'll tell you that story in a minute. I'm also the founder of Drastic Results Marketing and Sales Coaching. The word drastic permeates everything I do, everything I teach my clients to be. And in that, I teach my clients how to market themselves. My clients love what they do. They just are the best kept secret out there. And I teach them how to show up, be up, follow up to blow up. And there's more to those stories as well. Again, connect with me. Let's hop on a call and we can have a conversation. I've been going to franchise conferences. I've been to 11. I've only been a franchisee for 5 years. And in those 11 conferences, I've consistently seen there's not enough people of color in the room. What is happening here? Steve and I was at an event last week. I'm the only Black woman out of 150 people. 3 Black men, very few Hispanics, no Indians, I'm like, what is happening? 1 Asian, how? So I've decided to also launch a 501c3 called Multicultural Franchise Connectors, bridging the gap between multicultural communities and the world of franchising. So if there's so few Blacks in franchising, how did I become a franchise owner? It follows the formula. So, as I mentioned, I was just about to throw in the towel, interviewing for jobs while I'm waiting for 2 jobs to come through. This is July 2019. I go to a friend's house who's a money mindset coach. Picture this. She has a beautiful pool. We're sitting out by the pool, and I'm in tears trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. I'm 53 years old at that moment, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I want to do. She asked me a very poignant question. She said, Toni, what's your why? Well, I told her what my why was, and she was like, girl, you've already accomplished that. Perhaps you need a new why, one that will motivate you to want to stay in business. And she said, go create a new why, come back and tell me what you come up with. I'm coachable, so I did the work. I wrote down everything I love to do, everything I knew I didn't want to do. And what kept rising to the top is I love connecting people. So I go back to her and I say, my why is to touch, move, and inspire my clients to take drastic steps to get drastic results. I'm a resource. I'm a connector. I want to help people build deeper relationships that are beneficial to their life and business. Toni, that's perfect. What would you need to do to get paid to connect people? She asked me. Lady, if I knew that, I wouldn't be talking to you. I don't know. But then I paused and I thought, I think I would need to start my own networking group. She said, well, why don't you? Absolutely not. I've seen too many people run networking groups, not make any money. I don't know what to charge. I don't know how to run a meeting. I don't have technology to pull it all together. And I don't want to start from scratch. No, ma'am. No, thank you. I'll just wait for these 2 job offers to come through. She said something very profound. Toni, if that is your why, don't you worry about the how. It will show up. Girl, please. I am not starting a networking group. Click. I was done. 1 week later, a lady I had met 3 months earlier at a women's retreat. I showed up to this women's retreat at a time when I was about to quit. The retreat, I paid for it on the last day, 5-hour drive from my house. And I went. I go into that room and there is 12 women. Again, I was the only African American. I meet this woman named Helen. Helen said, oh my gosh, you should be a Network and Action franchisee. I was like, franchise? I don't know about that. And I left it alone. Well, I broke my own rule. I did not schedule an appointment with Helen. I teach my clients schedule appointments with people you connect with before you leave the event. And I did not. That's because I was so confused. It took Helen 3 months to follow up with me. Toni, I still think you should be a network and action franchise owner. Would you please meet the franchisor? Helen, I don't have $40,000. I'm waiting for 2 job offers to come through. I don't think franchising is for me. No, thank you. Just meet the franchisor. She pleaded with me. Okay, tell him I don't have $40,000 and tell him I have 2 job offers. If he still wants to meet with me, I'll meet with him. Made the connection. He came to my office. I know him very well now. He doesn't go to people's offices. He waits for people to come to him. He came to my office, showed me the network in action portfolio, the plan, the strategy, the blueprint. And all I had to do was plug and play. What I had said the week before came true the next week. Remember, Carol said, don't worry about the how, it will show up. Mr. Talley, I love what you have. I don't have $40,000. I would be perfect for this. He said, how much do you have? I don't want to insult you, sir. I don't have 40,000. He said, how much do you have? 3. I'll take it. Handshake note, me and you, let's go. Today, I am his first ever Rookie of the Year, Brand Ambassador, Community Service Award, and this past September, I celebrated 5 years as a franchisee. So in 2022, when the world opened back up, I decided to start networking in the franchise space. I was just curious about it. Somebody said, you should go to the IFA conference. I said, okay, I know how to show up. Paid my money, flew to San Diego, went to IFA. My eyes got ginormous, kind of like those cartoons when the eyes get so big. Oh my gosh, franchising is so much bigger than chicken and burgers and storefronts. They're home-based, part-time, small business franchises out there. How come nobody's telling us about this? So that was 2022. I started showing up to different events, and consistently I'm seeing the same thing. Last June, I go to an event in Atlanta, and I go to a pre-event where there were the women's council. So there were 3 women CEOs, and one of them said, I'm so proud of where women have come in franchising. And she said, 30 years ago, you could count the number of women in the room on one hand. We were in Atlanta. I, again, was the only brown woman in the room. I raised my hand. I said, ma'am, I appreciate what you just said about women in franchising. But look at this room. We're in Atlanta. What do you suggest I do to make this room look like the rest of America? You could have heard a pin drop. She said, if you can't get a seat at the table, create your own table. And at that moment, the Multicultural Franchise Connectors 501c3 was born in my mind. I started sharing it with people. I started having the energy around it. Immediately, I filled a board, advisory board, executive board with 15 souls of all races who want to see multicultural communities in franchising. Stay tuned. You're going to hear a whole lot more about that. But here's the question, family. What if I hadn't showed up? See, sometimes many of you are thinking long and hard. I don't feel like it. I'm an introvert. I'm uncomfortable. It costs money. Who am I going to meet? Ain't nobody there for me. I'm going to be the only one. And you talk yourself out of showing up. Yeah, the formula to success starts with showing up. Then who are you when you show up? What's your energy? What do you look like? Are you attractive? Meaning not attractive physically, but attractive by energy. Steve told you, when I walk into a room, I have to flip a switch. I'm not on all the time. It is 7:40 in Houston, Texas right now. You flip the proverbial switch, turn it on, be up so that people will want to know, who are you? And that's what has happened in franchising. And then lastly, the fortune is in the follow-up. And most of us are thinking about ourselves. We don't follow up. When Helen followed up with me, her follow-up was an answer to my prayer. I'm going to say that again. While you thinking about following up, oh, it's been too long. Oh, they don't want what I have. And when they're ready, they'll call me. No, they won't. Stop thinking about it. Follow up with people. Reach out to people. Hey, you were on my mind. I was just thinking about you, and you may be the answer to someone's prayer. So I'm going to leave you with that word. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's have a one-to-one. I'll put it in chat. My calendar is meetwith ToniHarrisTaylor.com. I'm kind of booked up for the next couple of weeks, but go ahead and just find a time in the future. Let's have a conversation. Let's see what you're working on and how I can help, who I can introduce you to. And I'm going to just leave you with this final thought. Nobody is successful without getting drastic, whatever that means to you. So know that you have to get out of your comfort zone, no matter what you're doing, in order to have any level of success. My name is Toni Harris Taylor, saying take a drastic step today for a fantastic tomorrow. And thank you, family, for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Toni. We
Excellent.
sure appreciate
Thank you,
you.
Miss Tony.
Anybody have any questions? That was super exciting, and thank you for coming on the show, Toni. Franchising is, like she said, it makes your eyes pop out. There's a franchise for practically everything. I seen a cooking school for children franchise. I seen a tutoring franchise, closet franchises. Everybody knows Serve Pro when your house gets flooded, franchising. And then, Tony's showing up at all kinds of events and connecting people and just somebody you want to be around. She kind of reminds me a little bit of our good friend Walter Bond, when Walter Bond was on the show. So make sure you reach out. Or anybody have any questions for Toni while she's here quickly before?
I got a question for you, Toni. The franchising, from the standpoint of franchising, many of us like to be kind of, I guess, creative and do our own things. But is it better, if I want to open up a chicken spot, maybe you should go to a franchise expo of some sort and learn it that way, or is it better for me to try to do my own thing?
Okay, great question. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I would say this, and this is something that we are not hearing. We're not hearing this message. So I'm so glad this is my people. Steve, thank you. Um, the last thing I would do is a startup. The last thing I would do is a startup. If you couldn't find a franchise or buy someone else's business that's already running already, those are two options to be able to get into business. And there's money out there to help us to do that, get our credit straight. So let's get our credit straight so we can get some money. But the last thing I would do is start up, now that I know what I know about franchising. Now, if you just got to sell your grandmama's Kool-Aid recipe in your restaurant, then franchising's not for you. But if you can set that to the side and follow a system, then franchising can be for you. But as Steve said too, Antonio, I want to make sure this is clear. There are over 4,000 franchise brands in the U.S. Most of them are not storefronts. A lot of them are home-based. Network in Action, the one nobody's telling us they're part-time, home-based, semi-absentee opportunities out there. And so I'm getting ready to drop this in chat, but I am a franchise consultant, so I can match make you to the right franchise as a result of starting my 501. So just talk to me about that. Before you start anything from scratch, look at franchising. Look at buying an existing business that already has revenue.
Okay, so you actually basically have a franchise that helps people find the right franchise for what they're trying to do.
I am a franchise consultant.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Thank you.
So when you're like, I guess when you're interviewing a potential candidate or something, how do you determine what's a good franchise for them? Or is
Yeah, we
there?
do go through an interview process. So, what are you interested in? What is your background? How much money do you have? Do you want to be semi absentee or owner operator? Do you want home based? Are you okay with a storefront? So, I do all those questions. And then I go into my database of over 800 brands and find the right brand for the candidate. And you don't know what you don't know. That's the other thing. I didn't know. I did not know. And I think it's been a big travesty that because when most of us think of franchises, we think burgers, chicken, Subway, storefronts. So, but there's so much more out there. So, yes, I do a full interview, then go find 4 or 5 brands to introduce them to. If they don't like those, we go back to the drawing board and figure out. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, I would say do not start from scratch. It's the hardest thing you can do next to marriage and children.
I have a question. Do you typically see franchises or people get franchises for like services? So it may not be a product necessarily a physical product, but like services that you
Yes,
offer.
yes, for sure. Give me an example.
So I'm an environmental engineer and environmental scientist. So I'm
Hmm.
interested in using my expertise um, in an entrepreneurial way. And right now I'm just thinking and brainstorming. But I was just
Hmm.
wondering if you've seen anyone, like consultants who offer their services to use you for your consulting work.
Yes, so there are some environmental franchises out there. So the way it works again is I'm a franchise consultant and I have access to 800 different franchises in my portfolio, and then some that I've networked with that I know as well. So there are environmental friendly franchises out there. There's a franchise for almost everything you can think of, and some
One
of
of
the stuff
the
you never thought of.
Tony, remember what was? Didn't Scott have a company? I forgot. It was called something One.
Bio One.
Bio
It's Bio
One.
One. Bio
Bio
One is a
One. Yeah, go
yep.
ahead. You tell him.
Yep, it's and there's another one as well. Goes in and does crime scene cleanup, hazardous material cleanup. And there he was like, there's you can charge $1,000 an hour for this particular brand. So yes, there are a lot of brands out there. Here's the other thing. Let me add this. The multicultural franchise connectors has four tiers. The first tier is you all may have a business or know someone who has a business that should franchise it. Now, you got to have help with that because you got to be ready for franchising. But who's telling us, oh, go franchise the business you've already built? That's another way to build wealth. The second tier for the multicultural franchise connectors is buy a franchise. So you can buy a franchise while you're still working. It's called semi-absentee. You can also buy a franchise that's a great companion to what you're already doing if you're a business owner. So for instance, I had the coaching business, and when I was already teaching people how to network, when I bought Network in Action, I could give them a place to network. It was a great companion that actually tripled my coaching business, and I haven't looked back at a job since. The third one is you're a business owner, supply your services to the franchise space. So I have a client who does restaurant equipment. And Steve, I need to connect you to him. He does restaurant equipment. He was doing it with mom and pops and wasn't doing it great. And then I introduced him to a franchisor, and he said for the first time he has a path to $1 million through franchising because he's supplying his equipment to restaurants in franchising. Because when you sell the franchisor, the franchisees have to buy from you too. And then number four, if you're not an entrepreneur, but you might want a career, did you know you could have a career in a franchise headquarters? So I'm just creating this awareness, and I'm excited about it. There's multiple ways to wealth, and I know you all are doing the stock market, but franchising has created more millionaires, and we haven't been told. And so I'm here to tell. Think about the people in your world who need to hear this message.
Good morning. Good morning, Tony. This is Tara. Thank you for speaking with us. I do have a question. I think it's important. For those that are returning to the community from prisons, and perhaps they can't get jobs in certain areas because of the criminal records.
Mm-hmm.
But they have, ascertained like certain certifications and things like that while they were away. That can be used when they come out, but they just, have a hard time being given a chance. Are there restrictions around being franchise owners with those with criminal records?
Ironically, I volunteer at the Prison Entrepreneurship Program, and I started asking the franchisors in my network, are they open to second chance? Many of them are. Some of them aren't. So that's when you use a franchise consultant like myself to ask those questions of the franchisors. But there are a lot of opportunities out there because a lot of these franchises are small business owners themselves. Think Steve. He's a small business, so he has the autonomy to say, yes, I have a heart for those people. I want to help them. And so, yes, there are opportunities. And I have someone in my network. See, remember I told you about my network who actually, they only give money to those who have a criminal record. And so not only can they buy a franchise, but they might be able to get the funding.
We got a question, Steve. We got a question in the chat.
Mod Pizza is known for specifically recruiting people from coming out of prison. And then obviously people that are like in work release can't miss work, So they've had great success building their company.
You said Mod Pizza, MOD?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Steve.
Arsenio asked a question, what is the ROI on average based on my clients? Okay, so ROI depends on the brand. So I immediately made money in my franchise brand. And so it just depends on the outlay of capital. There are some brands that I have a franchise brand that I know that's $15,000. That's all, $15,000 for a home base school, kids, physical fitness brand. But some go into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it really does depend on your products you're selling and then the timeline to get it to market.
Tony, do
So
you know anything about UPS stores? Those seem to be very, very successful.
I
Yeah,
do. Okay.
his question, Arsenio's question was, what's the ROI on the clients that you have? Like when someone uses you, like what's usually their success rate? I think that's what he's asking.
So, so I just began my journey as a franchise consultant. But again, the ROI depends a lot on the brand and what they're selling. So there are window washing brands out there. Window washing, you charge, $350 to wash somebody's windows in their house. Well, it's going to take you a lot longer than that $1,000 an hour brand to recoup. So it really depends on the individual brands. And it depends on, you still got to get yourself out there. So you can't just buy a franchise and hang a shingle and think they're going to come. You still got to show up, be up, follow up to blow up. So it really does depend on the person and their getting themselves out there. But with 800 brands, it's almost impossible to say what the ROI is because it depends on which brand you choose.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Great. Well, thank you, Tony, for coming on the show, and thank you for introducing us to a little bit more about franchising. And I'm sure I'll see you at one of the next conferences coming up soon.
Yes, I appreciate you. And if you don't mind, I'd love to come back to this group in the future and be
You're
a
always
participant.
welcome.
I want to learn from you all. So thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, and she lives in Houston, Ernest. Since you're on your way to Houston, so she's in Houston. All right, Steve. As always, man, thank you. You know, Steve travels around the world. He's always at conferences through what he does from the franchising business of BurgerFi, and now the new brand. So, whenever he runs into someone that's exciting, Steve loves to bring him through the room, and I appreciate that he does that because he does that for us as the Camels. You know, many of us don't get an opportunity to travel. We're busy working and we don't get to travel and go to conferences. But a lot of the main people you can meet that can be life changing. You can meet them at a conference. You can meet them at an event, an expo, and that's very important to understand. So when you make friends with people who are always at these expos, it's almost like you being there without you being there, right? Because if she hears something in this room that makes sense to someone else, what would we all do, right? We would recommend. We would say, hey, I know someone. You know, we're building a great family here. You know, and that's the point. And so again, thank you, Steve, for always looking out, man.
Well, yeah, thank you for Tony for her positivity. I mean, right now I feel the energy. I'm amped up. You know, that's why I like being around her, and people like to be around her. And she makes you accountable to yourself and to do your best, and to really think about how you apply yourself in business. And she does it with great intention. She just wants to help people, and then obviously when you help people and they do great things, then obviously you get to share in that wealth. So thanks, Tony, for her time, and it was great to have her on the show, and we look forward to her returning and telling us more about what's going on in her businesses and in her life, because it's really great to hear.
I have a question, Tony. In the beginning, I don't know if you said you have a book but what was the show up? Can you say
Yes,
that again for
it
me,
is.
please?
It is my book. And the easiest way to get it is on Amazon. Show up, be up, follow up to blow up.
Thank you.
However, you know what? If you text me your contact information, I'll send it to you.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
All right. All right, that's some great information there. You're listening to Pre-Market with Antonio, Stocks and News. It is 2 minutes after 9 o'clock, and we are the Camels. Thank you. Welcome to the room. We're here for you. Um, let's talk about it, Joe. We didn't get to do that in our earnings. I don't think Big Easy's in here now, but let's go to Joe. Joe, what are we looking at today, man?
Yeah, good morning, good morning. We had a few things come out. I put some of the numbers in the chat from the durable goods orders numbers that we had. Let me see. Month over month came in at 2.2. Net forecast was point 0.3. Core durable goods came in at point 0.3. Net forecast was point 0.4. And we get a lot of well, not a lot, but we get some other major news, somewhat major news at 10 o'clock as well with the consumer confidence and hearing from the Richmond manufacturing and Richmond services as well. So you may see some volatility from that. And I would still just say keep an eye out just for the the AI news that's been going on lately as well that everybody may or may not be aware of that affected everything a little bit yesterday. And we get hear from Atlanta Fed as well at 10:30. And let me see, Dallas Fed service numbers as well. And one bond auction at 1 o'clock, and we get M2 money supply at 1 o'clock as well. So you may see some volatility around those hours, especially around that 10 o'clock hour with the consumer confidence. But data set wise, that's all we have today.
Quick question: Jerome Powell is going to be speaking tomorrow. What do you think happens, and what should we be looking out? What's the options of what could happen if he keeps the rates the same? If he happens to raise the rates, lower the rates, what should we be thinking about?
I think it'll definitely be be interesting just with the political climate and everything that's going on. But I think if he keeps the rates the same or continue to go along the same path that the market is kind of expecting, I think the market may get a positive reaction to that as long as there's no type of no type of surprises or things of that nature like things that we got over the weekend, with the AI news and things like that, just stuff that's unexpected. But it's still tough to say exactly what he's going to do. But I think if he just continues along with that plan that the market is expecting, and there's no, type of surprises or things of that nature, then I don't see the market responding to it too badly. But either way, it's definitely going to be interesting to see, and definitely going to be, impactful, along with earnings and everything that we got coming out as well.
Okay, question. So with the AI response, right? What happened? I mean, we're smarter than that in America, right? That we wouldn't underestimate the fact that China was probably working on AI. So why such a big panic yesterday over the weekend from this startup?
What the reason is because these guys built a machine that cost less than $6 million. It was about $5.6 million, not even $6 million, that was able to do the same amount of work as ChatGPT, which cost $600 million, 100 times the price. So before this thing came out, everybody was like, well, we're doing AI and you need all these chips and you need all kinds of money, so only the big boys can get into this game, and so it's only going to be the big players that deal with it. And now all of a sudden this young smart little company with only $6 million is able to do something that works as good or better than ChatGPT. So there's a lot of savings. They can start, they can use a lot less chips. I forget how many they actually. I was listening to how many the machine actually they use about only 2,000 chips, where some of the large learning models from OpenAI use, I think, 3 times the number, like 6,000 chips or 8,000 chips. But it's a big difference in the initial investment, and then obviously using less chips and less computing power, it uses less power as well. So that'll cost you a lot less money to use it. So they were talking about the cost of a million, inquiries or a million transactions or a million things on ChatGPT costs a lot more than they do on DeepSeek.
Gotcha. Now let me ask you this: Will, because this is, we already had the TikTok issue, right? This is a Chinese company, correct? So is it going to run into them saying, oh, they don't trust the company because it's owned by China? It's a Chinese company, and will that become an issue at some point?
Oh yeah, it's an issue already. And then Arsenio just made a comment that's very true as well. Um, that it's an open source. It's an open source program, so that means anybody who's a programmer can use it today and make their own deep seek, operations and apps and things like that because it's open and it's free. So that's another reason that scares everybody because OpenAI is not open. Open source, they call it.
This is going to be interesting. There's definitely going to be a lot of ups and downs in the AI business because of this, because trying to figure out what's the real evaluation of AI and the chips. It definitely will concern folks. But I would say AI is still very early. It's still scratching the surface. So if you've done your homework, you know what you own. Don't panic. Just continue to build on this. You don't want to be the person who forgets. You know what I mean? Forgets that opportunity and look back and say, "Oh my gosh, I saw it when it was $50. Now it's $320. You know what I mean? Don't be that person because you were panicking and you were afraid. Uh, by now, if you show up into this room, you know that because we don't talk about things but the best companies in the world. And the reason we do that is because the newest investor who shows up in this room, if they take action from being in this room today, we want to make sure they're in the right things. And I'll land my plane.
Yeah, I think one of the things that caution is how many times the price of some of these things is over their earnings is what scares or what makes me cautious.
Does it impact Palantir in any way? Is Palantir overvalued at this point?
Palantir, I'm watching it very carefully, but Palantir seems to be just signing a lot of sales. So they're getting a lot of revenue in. Again, because it's very specialized and, so many corporations need it, countries need it, individual countries, military applications and things like that, the airports. So they have a lot of case use application. So they're getting a lot of revenue. So that's why they're not seeing, and also they're still a relatively low price stock. They're $80, and last year they were $16. So they don't have the price history that some of these other companies do, in my opinion. So
Gotcha. Okay. Arsenio
I
said it's
still
the
think it's a
Robin.
good. I think it's still got upside.
Okay. Okay. Arsenio said it's the Robin Hood of AI. So Arsenio, if that's true, it's the Robin Hood of AI, then they're going to take a hit too, because Robin Hood came out strong and it took a hit, and Robin Hood is just now starting to get back on track, and people are starting to respect Robin Hood at this point. But that was not the story in the beginning. Robin Hood came out strong. They fell hard. They struggled a bit, right? Especially when they went through that GameStop fiasco, where everyone was trying to pump GameStop to 1,000, and then they basically said no one can buy, you can only sell, and then everything plummeted, and it took a long time to get over that because the people that loved them now all of a sudden hated them, right? Because they were supposed to get rich off of this moment, and it didn't happen for a lot of people. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't really know. I think it's gonna see how it plays out right now. So I don't know.
All right. Any comments or questions about anything that you guys are looking at today in the markets or anything from yesterday? The floor is open. Whatever you want to talk about.
Hey, Antonio. So with DeepSeek, I heard that um when you, I guess, download that app or whatever it is, that their terms of service says that they will own your whatever you put on there. So if you have, like, say, you have a podcast or something that you repost on there, then they own it and so forth. Don't know how true, but that's what I heard.
You said if they put a podcast
Let's
on
let's
DeepSeek?
say you download. Let's say you download it, right? So you know how you have to read the terms and services of everything. A lot of people don't read them, but one of the things on it talks about how they will own your content and so forth.
Um, Steve,
She's
what's your
correct
answer
in
to
a
that?
way. She's
Okay.
correct in a way. So if I take BurgerFi's sales reports and I leave the BurgerFi logo on the page, and then I scan it into ChatGPT and I say, okay, help me notify, which stores are doing better, which stores are doing worse, and which are doing better for labor and food costs and this and that. If I leave the logo on there, anybody can eventually find it because it's going to connect it with the logo. If I just put in numbers and it's on a blank piece of paper, then it's going to be harder. That's called, making it anonymous, the data. Um, One thing that you said, how do you read these terms and conditions? Right now, one of the good uses of ChatGPT is to take copies of terms and conditions of a credit card or terms and conditions of social media and run them through ChatGPT and say, you know, go through these terms and conditions and tell me anything that might be a yellow or a red flag of something that I shouldn't be signing. And ChatGPT will help you understand those terms and conditions of what you're actually giving up, what rights and things like that.
Hey, Steve, I think she's more talking about intellectual properties. Like you can't use someone else's program to create something for you, well, like an AI program. Like if you developed a song through AI and then you tried to make it a multi-platinum song, like if they figured out that it was AI, like in that terms of service, you can't use their program to create a new intellectual property that you own.
That could be in there again. I don't know the terms and conditions that well, but they may want to do that, or because of this new one being open source, they may not have the right to do that. So that may differentiate depending on which AI you're actually using. So,
Yeah,
but
that happened with
copyrighted materials
ChatGPT
are
with
still apply though.
yeah, that happened with Drake and The Weeknd. They created a song with them through ChatGPT when it first got hot, and that song went viral. But you couldn't use that song because Drake didn't do it, Weeknd didn't do it. So that might be the same thing that they're referring to, Angela.
Well, um, another thing I heard him say that once you post something on there, they own it and they can do whatever they want with it. They can them DeepSeek, the company, whatever, because they own it, because you posted on it, now they own it, and they can do whatever they want to break up whatever the content is that you put on there or whatever it is they can do. If I understood, if I understood correctly. So, but Steve, I'm glad you mentioned about being able to put the terms and services, have Chat GPT uh, break it down for you. So that's good. So just, I
All
guess,
right, now
just be
that's a
careful.
great question,
You
right?
know, just be careful. You really need to know, because you don't want to put this stuff somewhere where you won't be able to have, it won't be your content anymore or whatever.
All right, ChatGPT, y'all. Wendy's, speaking of ChatGPT and AI, Wendy's is now using AI to make the orders at their restaurant. So when you drive up to the drive-through, ChatGPT is doing your orders. They've launched that in quite a few of their stores. So it's moving pretty fast, y'all. It's moving pretty fast, and it's not even what it's going to be. So imagine that. Just imagine that. Arsenio said Meta has the same type of terms. They have a non-exclusive rights to everything you post. OpenAI is going to have to cut their prices, probably get completely bought by Microsoft. Okay, gotcha. OpenAI is going. They're going from a non-profit to a profit company. I think they're in the process of that happening right now. And speaking of content, shout out to Lori. You can now get what we do here on the Clubhouse over on Spotify. So if you go to Spotify and you just type in Premarket with Antonio, we are over on Spotify. It's a lot easier to share. You can listen to the shows. It's great. She had a little music to the intro. Shout out to Lori. Lori, thank you. You're doing a great job on that. Appreciate it.
Good morning, no problem.
Thanks, Miss Lori.
Thank you,
Hi,
Lori.
Lori.
Yes.
Hi, Lori. This is Miss Jeannie. I just received my calendar Friday. It is very professionally made and it is very nice. It's a nice size and it don't take up much space, but you can see it. Thank you very much. It's nice.
Woohoo! Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Yeah, Lori made a calendar, y'all, on effort, and you can order it on Etsy. And it's a calendar of everything we voted for last year, the hottest financial stories of each month. And what's funny, Lori, let me ask you this question real quick. It's just January and it's not even over yet. We still got a couple days. Don't you think this is going to be one of the most difficult months for us to choose what's the biggest financial story of the month, because so much happened this month? You had the fires in California. You had Trump taking over presidency, but you also had this DeepSeek thing that just came out and causing AI, valuation, of major companies to drop so big on yesterday. Like, which one do you what stands out to you right now?
Yeah, I agree. This morning I took a screenshot of an article that talked about how 600 billion was knocked off of Nvidia. And then I said, oh, I need to keep track of the numbers of, all the financial events that took place this month. But that was a big drop because, like, you saw how NVIDIA went from the number one in market cap down to spot number three. So we may want to keep an eye on that. But like you said, the fires, we may want to look at those numbers, compare them to like NVIDIA's drop, and then also compare it to the election numbers as well.
This is gonna be a hard month to vote on, that's for sure. I'm pretty sure we got about 2 more days left, and the month's not over with, so we don't know what could happen. At this point, nothing surprises me. I'm going to be honest with you. Nothing surprises me. Uh, Anything can happen at this point, and be prepared for that. But the main thing is, don't be fearful. Like, be sitting there and ready to do it. I always want you to think about when something happens in a movie theater, right? There's always somebody that runs back into the movie theater and finds a wallet with cash in it, right? While other people are panicking, other people are going in and taking advantage of opportunities, right? You've got to be that way when you're thinking about the markets. You have to, because anything can scare the market really fast. And we've said this before, and we'll say it again. The valuations on a lot of these companies, they're high. When you think about the Magnificent Seven, they've been constantly going up, 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 up. At some point, people are looking for an excuse to sell, right? Just because something goes up, up, up doesn't mean that people 100% believe in it. And then when the test of time comes, you see that, just like yesterday. You see how quick that happened? Like, literally, the market was like, it happened over the weekend, and the market was down before you even could even open up anything. Now, people had puts last week. They made good money yesterday. They made great money. You had puts on Friday going into this week. You made some exceptional money yesterday.
That's true.
But most people were bullish. Most people were bullish last week. They was excited. They were, look what Trump's doing. The economy's going to be different. It's going to be more aggressive. And then boom. China says, oh, you can say what you want, but we're going to show you what we have over here. We're gonna show you. We're gonna send you this. You're gonna lock TikTok out. Well, we got an AI app that we were able to do for less than $7 million. I mean, come on.
I think another thing that a lot of people are forgetting, this is also tax season. So a lot of institutions, corporations, and businesses are going to capitalize on their gains so that, they could, secure whatever that they have to report in their taxes. So don't be afraid when you see your favorite ticker pull back from their recent highs, because we had a lot of tickers in the S&P that hit their 52-week highs. And usually there's a lot of profit taking that's taking place. So be on the lookout.
I want to read this to you guys. It's called "Looking for the Agent of Change." And I want you. The agent of change often takes place in the form of communications, competition, community action, and regulation. The means of production and access to capital, easing of creation of constraints, cultural shifts. When the foundation that a system is built on shifts, the system will fight back, but widespread and significant changes in these underpinnings often lead to permanent changes and opportunities for those that see them coming. One reason that venture capitalists were so excited about the dawn of the commercial internet, and then again with artificial intelligence, is that it checked all six of these boxes at once. Here are some change agents through the ages. The car opened the door for fast food restaurants. Craigslist destroyed the business model for many newspapers. Spinoffs created a new communication layer that dramatically decreased public prostitution. MTV enabled the rise of rap music by decreasing the power of local radio stations. Home improvement TV shows led to popularity of the McMansion. Birth control transformed the workforce and led to the rise of convenient foods. 800 numbers in the credit card transformed any organization that dealt with customers. The smartphone surfaced information about travelers and drivers, enabling Uber to transform the taxi industry. Casual Friday started a cascade that led to a significant shift in the creation and sale of the clothes we wear every day. The elevator permitted real estate developers to create skyscrapers and remade the ideal of downtown, the same way that work from home is undoing much of that density. Junk bonds, hedge funds, and other financial institutions led to the rise and fall of big box stores, supermarket chains, and other leveraged businesses. AI is transforming farming. The coming reset in the price of carbon will transform just about everything. All right. The two most chosen jobs in the U.S. are truck drivers and real estate brokers. Both are part of a very well established system, and technology and the law are turning those systems upside down. The first change agent for truck drivers is data. Shippers now have far more knowledge of the supply chain and the conditions of transport. Add to this self-driving long-haul trucks and the entire industry is transformed. And the system of real estate has been upended by a combination of data transparency, companies like Zillow, and recent settlements that upend the traditional monopoly that brokers had on fees. These are either threats or opportunities. The smart strategy is to bet on change. How will the new system create opportunity for people brave enough to take them? All right, that's pretty interesting. What about that I just read stand out to you? Y'all digest that information or you can't hear me?
I can hear you. Bet on change. That's what I'm taking away.
Yeah, I like the way it just talks about how it makes way from old to new. How it just,
And we all know, again, Apple's first product came out the gates killing, but it didn't do well like months later. And then iPhone came out very slow. iPhone was not as popular when it first came out, if you do a history check on it. What ended up making it popular was literally the invention of Facebook and apps. Apps and iPhone blew each other up. But remember, iPhone was not popular in the beginning, even though it's one of the biggest companies in the world now. It wasn't like that in the beginning. But when Facebook came along, it transformed the iPhone. So just think about all these things that are being created and what's going to make what work. We're in the middle of that right now. It's happening. So please keep that in mind while you're doing what you're doing. Some companies are going to go away. New companies going. We didn't even know about DeepSeek 2 months ago. Nobody even mentioned it. We said that in this room so many times. There's something being created right now. We don't know what it is, and it's going to transform the world. It's going to be something. And now, yesterday, DeepSeek took over all TV and channels, not just the people that look at stocks. Everybody was talking about DeepSeek yesterday. It literally went to #1 on the Apple Store app. #1, a company we didn't even know about a month ago. Nobody in this room knew what a DeepSeek was. That's how fast things are moving. So don't get stuck in your ways. Don't get stuck in your ways. Stop thinking of, the success of yesterday will not be the same. It will not look the same over the next 10 years. I don't care what you did, what your success was 10 years ago, or even 5. It's going to be different the next 5 to 10 years. It's moving too quickly. Okay? I said this information because you need to think about this and put it in perspective. As great as the telephone is, it took 75 years for 1 million people to use a telephone. 75 years. I'm not even 75 yet. It took 10 months for Facebook to reach 1 million people. OpenAI, it took less than 24 hours. It's only going to get quicker. All right, who wants to close this out today?
Okay.
You know what's crazy about the whole thing? Um, Even though we're seeing like a lot of these, these AI tools are coming out like rapid speed, we have to make sure that we don't get distracted because last week they were talking about TikTok. And then the week before they were talking about Temu. And then the week after they were talking about Red Note. Now they're talking about DeepSeek. AI is making things a lot easier for people to get creative to get to their goals. So we can't be afraid and we can't get distracted to jump on the next best thing or get confused by the shiny objects. Don't get stuck in that shiny object syndrome. Stay focused, know what your tops are, know what your best tickers are, and stick with it. Stick with your plan. Stay disciplined. And that's it. I land my plane.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you guys on tomorrow. Be blessed, everyone.